All right, welcome to Hoopstracker Christmas edition. We have officially finished the high school season in December 2024. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. We've got a lot planned. Let's jump into it. Um, Cannot wait. Remember, Jerry Howard, your host, Hoopstracker, your source for Colorado girls basketball. Big Merry Christmas to everybody. December is done. We're going to check in on some alumni news, some interviews, verbal commits, visits, rankings, games of the week, check in on everything. Let's dive in. All right, Mike Quintana, Holy Family. The interview is out. We're still working on getting Coach Kroll. Love that shirt, Coach, and love all those championship trophies. We'll see if we can get Coach on the show, as well as a couple other coaches coming up. Big milestone for Alex Eschmeyer at peak to peak. She just surpassed 1,500 career points and 1,000 rebounds, breaking the school record. Um, you know, she just got her 1,000th point just in January. So she racked up a quick 500 points at the end of last season, the beginning of this season. We'll see how everything turns out. The Stanford grad, we'll actually talk about her in a bit with the shows, but let's talk about last week's games. First of all, tons of top 10 matchups. University at peak to peak. We got that one circled. Coach Baumgartner brings down Addison Harding, Janae Kravig to take on Alex Eschmeyer at peak to peak. She scores 24, I believe, in that game. University, which is number one in the Hoops Tracker poll, pulls away at the end, 40-32, had it under control most of the game. Huge win for University. Um, this is great. Peak to peak University, these 4A schools are going head to head, top 10 matchups, getting some experience to see what's going to happen in March. Regis, Northfield struggling a little bit at 6A, goes down to Regis, and Regis lights it up. Jane Rumpf, one of the leading scorers in that game, just a huge game for Regis. Northfield is still picking up some of those pieces from the previous week and getting some more 6A experience. This team is very dangerous. People do not count them out. They are just making adjustments to 6A, but they have the talent. Broomfield goes down to Lutheran and beats them. Lutheran now moves up from 4A to 5A, so they're getting some experience, but they're going to be one of the top 5A teams. Frederick goes to Stanley Lake in overtime, big time win. I believe Sydney Martin had 20 plus points. I believe Zoe Zittler from Frederick also scores 20 plus points. She's the best shooter on that team. She's one of the top point guards in the state. Really looking forward to seeing them down the pipeline. Here we thought Stanley Lake was going to have a rebuilding year after graduating Taylor Serlin and some other folks, but Sydney Martin and other people are stepping up. This Stanley Lake team is looking really sharp going into the break. Green Mountain over Chaparral. Now, Wednesday, Nike, 12 Colorado teams go down from Nike. We are doing a special segment on the Nike TOC. Be sure to watch that. But Fruta beats Delta. Now, Delta is one of the top 4A teams in the state, and Fruta takes care of them very easily. Grandview at the Nike TOC crushes Mount Zion Prep, I believe out of Virginia or Maryland. But this wasn't even a game. I'm not quite sure how Mount Zion Prep got into that top 16, but I do know traditionally Nike TOC, their top bracket was 8 teams, and they tried to keep 8 teams in each bracket. This year, they expanded it to 16. They also added a prep school bracket, which was really interesting, and we'll talk more about that. Cherry Creek first day goes against one of the top teams actually in the West Coast, La Jolla Country Day, comes up short. And Denver East Denver East pulls off a big win out of Jay Sarah out of Southern California. Um, Thursday, Fossil Ridge beats Chaparral 44-31. Big win for that northern team up north. Stanley Lake bounces back, beats Silver Creek in it wasn't really a close one, but we know Silver Creek was without Izzy Spagnoletti, their best player. That would have been a much better game had she played. Green Mountain beats Lutheran 50-46 to just Green Mountain's continuing to be consistently good, getting better every day. Air Academy goes out to the Western Slopes for a big tournament, beats Grand Junction pretty handily. In that win, Lydia Flowers gets her 1,000 points. Congratulations to Lydia at Air Academy. Cherokee Trail bounces back on Thursday. They started out slow on Wednesday, had a first loss, but bounced back against Pinnacle. Big win for Cherokee Trail. Roosevelt beats Fort Collins 70-64. 40 of those points came from one player, Kyla Hollier. We'll be talking about her in a little bit. Legend beats Hamilton, which is actually a top Arizona team, pretty well. They came out really fast. At this point, Legend was 2-0. Grandview. Now, this was the biggest game probably circled on Thursday by a lot of different teams. Grandview takes on the number one team in the country on the ESPN ESPN polls, Ontario Christian out of California. Sienna Betts, the number one player in the 25 class, goes against the number one player in the 28 class. Ontario Christian gets the win, and this game was a lot closer than the score predicts. With 2 minutes left, it was within a 4-point game. Sienna comes out with 28 points. Not only that, but Ava Chang blows up, has 20 points. Ontario Christian just had too much firepower. I mean, late in the game, two of their guards hit like 2 threes each and just pulled away really quickly. It was really tough for Grandview to come back, but this was a phenomenal game to watch both teams and watch the Grandview team and the youth there go up against Ontario Christian, some of the top guards in the country, and they played extremely well. Great game. Air Academy takes care of business on the Western Slope over Delta. Friday night, this was an Elite Eight matchup a year ago. Northfield, Meade. Last year, Northfield wins. This year, Meade takes the win at home right before break. Huge win. We'll talk about some of the standouts there. Rocky Mountain goes to Monarch, pulls it out. Now, big game on Saturday. This is another top 10 4A matchup. Holy Family versus Peak to Peak. Earlier in the week, Peak to Peak had University, the number one team. Holy Family at the time, I believe we had them ranked number 4. Holy Family won this game, hands down. However, the first half, Peak to Peak came out really slow. The second half, Alex Eschmeyer blows up. She almost takes over this game. Late in the game, it was within 4 points. It was really interesting seeing Alex Eschmeyer on the perimeter, who honestly she is 12 inches taller than any other player on the court. And why she's playing on the outside, I'm not sure. I know she can shoot the three, but she's so much more effective on the inside, especially against this Holy Family team. And she proved it. She was going inside and she was scoring points in the second half. This was a great game. Multiple coaches were in the stands. It was really fun to see a lot of people come out. Saw the Sabas family out from Ralston Valley, who plays with Eschmeyer during the summer. Saw some other players from Monarch. Saw Sienna Williams and her parents. Saw some of the Rough Rider girls out supporting the Holy Family girls. It was great competition. Really, really look forward to this matchup. I think if they meet again, if you go inside with Eschmeyer, you can't lose. Air Academy takes care of business on the Western Slopes. They win the tournament, beating Fruta, the best team on the Western Slopes, 66-50. I believe Tatiana Brown had 23 points in this game. She blew up. She's the Kansas commit. Palmer Ridge, though, surprised me by beating Delta. Delta's a top 4A team. I was surprised by that. Pine Creek beats Thunder Ridge. Now, big shout out to Highlands Ranch winning their division at the Nike Toc, knocking off some of the top teams in the country to get there. Now, they played in a different division than Grandview and Valor, but it wasn't far from the top, and they performed excellent. We're going to talk about some of the top performances from Ezra Simonik, Jada Rogers, Kimura, Thomas Banks. I mean, it was a team effort. Man, it was great to watch, and to watch these guys play in the gym against the competition they had. They went against the Rialto team, went into overtime and pulled it out. It was a great game. Last week's tournament, like we just pointed out, Highlands Ranch wins their division, the only team from Colorado to do so. Hats off to Coach Jiraki and team. Like I said, it was a team effort. Air Academy on the Western Slope wins their tournament. Doherty finishes third place. Congratulations. In that third place game, they go against Rangeview. They pull it out. Great win. Horizon goes 3-1 in their bracket. A lot of the 2-2 teams, right? Grandview, man, after that those first two games, they dropped to 2-2. They played extremely well. So did Valor, but I think a lot of teams ran out of gas. And I can tell you, these national teams, man, when you've got athletic guards, and some of these teams, 3-4 Division I guards, 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" post players, eventually it wears down on you. And Sienna and Valor and company, they can't do it all, right? You need a complete team. When you go to Nike Nationals, people don't understand the competition. It is, in 4 years, you're going to see a lot of these girls not only playing in top 5, Big 5 programs, but you're going to see them in the WNBA. Legend, Cherokee Trail, Cherry Creek. Cherry Creek started out the tournament really slow, lost their first 2 games, but Coach Savannah got them on track. They found their rhythm. They won their last 2 games to finish strong. Legend won their first 2 games. They were in those semifinal games, to battle, and they played for third and ended up 4th place in their division. But man, they played some phenomenal teams. Cherokee Trail started out slow. They finished strong, 2-2. Denver East, Rangeview, Mullen, all represented Colorado extremely well. It was a great tournament overall, but be sure to watch our Nike TOC special, because we are doing a recap on them, and it was phenomenal. Let's jump to the rankings. Not a ton of movement, except Highlands Ranch moves up. Cherokee Trail didn't show quite how they did last week, and with Highlands Ranch hitting on all cylinders, we decided to move them up. Grandview moved up to 4th. We got Cherokee Trail. Riverdale Ridge, we moved them up because in the last week, they played, not only did they play Sienna and play Grandview and came up just short, but they played, I believe it was Ridgeline out of Utah, with one of the top recruits in the country who's going to Duke. They won their division, and Riverdale played them strong. So we moved them up. Pine Creek, we moved Regis down a little bit. You got Broomfield, Denver East rounding out that top 10. Girls 5A rankings. You got Air Academy and Meade, and they've been playing consistent. They've been playing extremely strong. I've been very impressed with Meade beating Mullen earlier in the week, and then going on and beating Northfield, taking back a win from last year. Roosevelt is playing extremely well. They knocked off a top team, and man, Kyla Hollier blows up against Fort Collins. She scores 40 of their 60 points. Holy smoke. This is why this young lady is one of the top players in the 26 class, not just in the state, but in the country. Green Mountain is playing extremely well. We move them up. Pueblo West, Frederick, Lutheran, Stanley Lake, they all go head to head. We swapped Stanley with Frederick because Frederick went into Stanley and beat them. Girls rankings, not a whole lot of change there. University remains 1, Delta 2, Holy Family 3. Peak to peak played very strong, and I'm trying to encourage Coach Howard, man, and we're not related, but Coach Howard, get the ball to Alex, play her inside. Nobody should be able to cover an All-American in 4A, period. There is no way. I don't care if she's double team, triple team. You get the ball inside to her, she's going to score. Skyview's playing well. Dievlin, Kent Denver is actually struggling right now. We'll see how they do. Pagosa Springs and Eaton rounded out. All right, man, it has been a great show. Let's talk about some of the players of the week. All right, I split it up because I can tell you the players at the Nike tournament shined, and all the Colorado top players shined. It was great. I mean, we're only talking about players scoring more than 20 points in most of the issue, but let's first talk about home. Kyla Hollier drops 40 points. Huge shout out to her. Lydia Flowers, Air Academy, congratulations getting your 1,000 point victory. You deserve it. You've worked hard. You are a great player. Excited to see you at the next level. Kennedy Spellman, she's sneaking up on a lot of teams and she's getting her points. She scored 35. Now, we're going to get a lot of calls about some of these players. What kind of teams are they playing? Are they playing as hard as some of the other teams? No, but it's the schedule, right? Just don't worry about it. Just let kids have their kudos and have their time in the limelight, because not everybody's going to get that, right? And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Alex Eschmeyer, 24 points against a strong Holy Family team, comes up short, but man, this young lady, I know she's got a 30 or 40 point game in her, and she's going to tear it up. Tatiana Brown, Air Academy, drops 23 on the Western Slope, helps her team win. Amira Pena at Vista Peak, she shines with a 20-point game. And I'm going to talk about this last player because nobody knows her. She's not going to go to college, but a young lady named Hattie Adams at Niwot drops 17 points, gets a career high. Congratulations to this young lady. I'm familiar with the Niwot program under new coach. They've got some new freshmen, but this young lady, she stuck it out. She's done some things. On occasion, we're going to highlight players. They're not necessarily college players, but man, they deserve to be pointed out. And she has a blow up career game, and they're going into league. And I can't believe Niwot is 7-1 going into the break, but we'll see how they do in league. At the Nike TOC, Sienna Betts shows why she's the top player in the country in the 2025 class. Most of the game, she's averaging 20 plus. She's averaging a double-double every game, just about. And, Peyton Jones for Valor is really coming into her own. This is why she's picking up a lot of Big Five offers. This is a young lady you're going to want to watch. And this Valor team is dangerous. That's why they're number one on our list. They're defending state champs. They've got the firepower. Now, talking with coaches, their bench might be a little bit light, but their starting five is loaded. And there's some young ladies coming off the bench that are playing extremely well for Valor. So hats off to them. Ezra Simonik, man, this young lady continues to amaze me. She's committed to go to CCU. I'm not sure. I mean, this young lady could easily be a small D1 player and be successful at that level, but she is just crushing it for Highlands Ranch. Ava Chang at Grandview has a phenomenal game against one of the top teams in the country. As soon as that game was over, she got a couple offers I saw online. Congratulations. And then a freshman, Jada Rogers, helps Highlands Ranch in an overtime win, 20 points. This is phenomenal. She's already got a Division I offer from Texas Tech. I believe she has some others. And then Ellie Otto. Now, we don't know this name because she's actually from Latvia. She's an international student at Denver East for this year. She's a senior, but man, can this kid play? And she's at the core of that Denver East team. Never count out Carl Matty. It's a great one. So, who are our top 10 shooters ending the year? Kennedy Spellman blew up in the last 2 weeks. She moves to number one at 27.9 points per game. Kyla Hollier at Roosevelt, 27.2, 11 rebounds. She's averaging a double-double. Gianna Smith, I believe, is at 25.6. Alex Eschmeyer averaging 24. And she's averaging double doubles every game, and she should. She's an All-American, and we would expect that. Liv Mortensen, this young lady just committed to Fort Hays out in Kansas, and she is phenomenal. She's on a very, very young team, but she's showing why. She's the leader on that team. And coming up, Sienna drops down. Now, Sienna's points, I believe, not 27.3. She dropped down to about 23.6, I believe. That's a typo on my part. Cortland Yowsey at 23.4 points a game at Loveland, coming into her own, doing a great job. You got Brianna Crittenden, who dropped from number 1 down to number 8, but she didn't play last week. So 23.5 points a game. Santana Sabas, a sophomore, crushing it. 22 points a game, also averaging a double-double. And then Brooklyn Stewart breaks into our top 10 at 22 points per game. And I know she's also averaging a double-double. We'll get those. But we are going to be looking not just at the top 10 shooters. We're going to look at the rebounders, assists in next week's show. We're going to do a special show wrap up on the Nike Toc. Not only we already talked about Sienna, but Quinn, Van Sickle, tons of talent. Madison Borcherdering blowing it up in Phoenix, also averaging over 20 points per game. Grace Stanley having some great games. Lots of players, lots of teams. Don't worry. If I didn't mention you on this show and you're at the Nike Toc, you will be mentioned on the next show if you performed well. And then we pulled together the top prep writers in the state to talk about last week's games. We got Dennis Ploy from Jeffco. We got Marcus Hill from Gazette Preps. Alyssa No from Boco Preps. We got Big Will from the Western Slopes. And of course, Courtney Oakes down in Aurora for the Sentinel, all talking about not just the girls' games, but also the boys' games. All right. Merry Christmas to everybody. We're so excited for this show. We're excited for where things are going with Colorado basketball. And just remember, have a great season. Enjoy this time off with your family and friends. And remember, Hoopstracker is your source for Colorado basketball. And if you got news, tag us. We'll do our best to get it on the show. With that, I'm out. This is Jerry Howard from Hoopstracker, your source of Colorado basketball. Everyone have a blessed holiday.